Hello, Chelsea fans. Welcome to CFC Unfiltered. CFC Unfiltered is a channel for Chelsea fans by a Chelsea fan, and in this channel, I will give you my honest, unbiased, and unfiltered opinion on all things Chelsea, be it latest transfers, rumors, sagas going on, be it latest stories emerging in and around the club, about the club, or be it my pre match or post match thoughts. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Now, in today's episode, we will discuss about what is going on with Nkunku. We have seen some interest from Bayern. There have been some interest about Leipzig, few other things. So we will discuss about that. Is there a possible double swoop going on with Carney Chukwuemeka and Anselmino? And what is going on with Desasi, and of course, is Jackson going to some other club, Aston Villa, perhaps, or maybe someone else? So we'll discuss this in today's video, and yeah, if you do like the content, please do share, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon because every bit of love helps and support helps, and it's a brand new channel, only a few days old. And yeah, please do join me in this journey and build. And I'm sure if you do give it a shot, you will love the content. So yeah, please do hit the subscribe button, please do like the video, hit the bell notification icon, and become a member of CFC Unfiltered family. So yeah, without further ado, let's start today's video. So guys, let's first talk about one of the quickest things that we can discuss about. That's Desasi. You remember him, right? So he played few games for Chelsea, mostly at Conference League. Then he went to Aston Villa. Did decent, right? There was apparently an understanding between him and Unai Emery that if Aston Villa qualify maybe for Champions League, then they will sign him. Of course, Aston Villa in the last game of the season, when they could have qualified instead of Newcastle, of course lost to Man United somehow, and ultimately they were they didn't this deal never happened. Now the Sassi, he had there were rumors with him having agreed personal terms with Villarreal, I think, where Viega has gone now. And then there were rumors with, and there's basically possible offers apart from Bournemouth, which you're seeing on screen. Apart from that, there's possible offers from West Ham and Ajax. At least that is my understanding about it. I think Ben Jacobs reported on it, and maybe Talk Sports, so I'm not sure. So these are basically, and Chelsea want around £20 million for him, and he's basically considering those offers. Bournemouth are now intensifying negotiations. That's been confirmed by multiple sources that there are conversations going on between Chelsea and Bournemouth club to club about a possible deal. I think Axel Disasi has agreed, in terms of, he's open to joining Bournemouth. So yeah, it looks like, if this deal happens, then we'll have maybe made around £270 million or something like that, close to that. So it's again a good sale process for someone who clearly doesn't have any future at Chelsea. So yeah, let's just move on to the next discussion. Hopefully this deal happens, because we know Bournemouth do need defense, right? We saw them, standing like plants against Liverpool, and they had a pretty atrocious defense. Some of the goals they conceded, however good their attack was, the goals they conceded was somewhat questionable. So they probably could do something with Disasi. He could probably add quality. He might not be at Chelsea level, but he's definitely good at Bournemouth level, right? So moving on, what is going on with Nkunku, guys? So earlier in the week, around the weekend time, we had started hearing these rumors that Bayern were serious, Bayern were going for him, that the player was always wanted to go to Bayern, and Bayern were really in for him. And then they started this loan option when we clearly know they have money, right? They were going for this Stuttgart striker Voldemort Day, or what's his name? I never get it right. But basically they do have the money, but they're like, we only want loan, and basically Chelsea have made it clear to Nkunku, they have made it clear to his agent, they have made it clear to Bayern, it's direct sell or nothing. So Bayern has started putting out this that we only go for loan or this or that. So so I think this deal has basically stopped because both Chelsea and Nkunku prefer a permanent transfer, and ultimately it doesn't suit anyone for basically because Bayern only want loan, and it basically sends wrong message to player as well, because he does want to go to Bayern, but it's they don't even want to make a permanent deal. So what does it say? Because it's not like Bayern do not have the money, they clearly do. They had it for they were ready to pay 55 million for the Stuttgart striker, and there's clearly a need for someone like Nkunku because Jamal Musiala is injured, Muller is gone, Kingsley Coman is gone. So there is clearly a necessity for bringing someone like Nkunku into their team, but they're not ready to spend, or they're ready to play these games. So ultimately, Chelsea have basically said no, and this deal looks now off. Unless Bayern come back with a permanent offer, this deal looks unlikely to happen. And then of course rumors started with Leipzig. So that they might re-sign as a part of Xavi Simons' permanent deal. And then there were rumors coming out of Germany basically that Leipzig will be open to signing Christopher Nkunku provided Chelsea sign him, Xavi Simons, for approximately £60 million. And I think Chelsea's valuation is Nkunku is about £40 million. So that might be a scenario, but again, it's not coming from anyone of verifiable sources like Fabrizio Romano or David Ornstein, but it's coming from Germany. But David Ornstein did report that RB Leipzig have started conversations with Christopher Nkunku, and then of course there were reports coming that they only want loan, and then there were reports coming again from Germany that basically that they'll be ready to re-sign Nkunku if provided Chelsea do a £60 million deal for Xavi Simons, and I think Chelsea are looking to do somewhere around £40-50 million. So yeah, let's just wait and watch how the situation evolves, because recently what has happened, rumors have started coming from sources within Italy that Inter are in for him. We did talk about it in the last couple of videos that Inter might be in for Nkunku. So looks like that is happening. That could be happening because they were going for Lookman from Atlanta, and that deal is supposedly off now. Also, Lookman is being offered to multiple clubs by his agent, so that deal looks off. That deal is not happening. So it would make sense for Inter to go and try and get Nkunku. And of all the clubs that may have some money in Italy, Inter might be one of them. So we will see. Maybe he gets to go Inter, and maybe it's a direct buy or loan with obligation buy. I think Chelsea are open to that as long as it's a permanent transfer. And basically, I will talk about the Xavi Simons, because there is this consistent rumor that we have to have this much sale, that much sale. But Ben Jacobs was, I heard Ben Jacobs talking, and basically he said that it's just a thing of getting them physically out, Nkunku and possibly Jackson out, who we'll be talking about in few minutes. But it basically looks like that the deal is basically about them getting just physically out of the building, not so much that it needs to be at a certain sales figure. That's just Chelsea wanting to get maximum valuation and maximum output for their player, right? Again, another reason why I feel Xavi Simons and Garnacho deals will happen eventually. So yeah, now this basically heated up today. So Dortmund, who have been for the longest time playing this game of do you love me not with Carney Chukwuemeka and Chelsea, started these discussions basically of signing on loan Anselmino, and Chelsea were like, he goes on loan to Dortmund only if you sign Carney Chukwuemeka on permanent. So Chelsea want to basically, because they are interested, and they're like, Chelsea are like, we know you want to sign Carney Chukwuemeka. Carney Chukwuemeka wants to go to Dortmund. Anselmino basically was contacted, by Dortmund, and he has said yes to them. Maresca in his comments basically said that he needs to go out alone and play some games, because right now he's clearly not at Chelsea level. He's training with the team and first team and whatnot, but clearly he has not been getting any minutes since January when he came up. So clearly the indication is Maresca doesn't think that he is there yet as a Chelsea player, and he needs to go out alone and playing and get minutes, and then maybe there is a future at Chelsea. Chelsea, of course, think highly of him, so they want a straight loan option, no buy option for Anselmino. And look, it might be a great opportunity for him to develop. Dortmund, whatever you say about them, they are a good club to develop young players. They have been for a while now. So I think this will be a good opportunity for him, and it looks like it will be a double deal. Because after this update, this came out that Borussia Dortmund are now in advanced negotiations with Chelsea to sign Carney Chukwuemeka on permanent and Aaron Anselmino on loan. And then Ben Jacobs basically, I heard him talking basically, and he said that today discussions were mostly on Anselmino, and it will be most likely tomorrow when we will hear more about Carney Chukwuemeka. Basically, so Carney Chukwuemeka, so it will be like a double deal, and I think from the looks of it, from the reports, multiple reports which are being reported, again, it's unconfirmed sources, so I do not want to put them out. I only go about talking about from some permanent sources or some credible sources. So look from the looks of it, the deal for Carney Chukwuemeka in terms of permanent fee is going to be 20 million. Chelsea wanted 40 million, and it's going to be 20 million, which is kind of break even, and then a huge add-ons and sell-on clause, uh, and then a straight loan for Aaron Anselmino with maybe some guarantees that he gets certain playing time at Dortmund. I think that's what the deal is going to look like, and hopefully this deal does go through. It's going to be beneficial for Chelsea. It's going to be beneficial for players, and apparently there is some sort of injury crisis in Dortmund in the centre back position. So it can be a good opportunity for Anselmino to get some minutes. So yeah, we will see how this story develops, and we will continue to follow it. Now, this is the most, I would say, well-tracked story. We have been hearing from Romano about basically how Nicholas Jackson is going. Nicholas Jackson, the relationship is broken. Nicholas Jackson this, Nicholas Jackson that, constantly by Fabrizio Romano. And now it looks like it's picking up steam, because Chelsea just a few days ago, earlier this week, basically signaled that they'll be okay with sending Jackson on loan as long as it's an obligation. And what Chelsea are looking for, a loan fee is around £10 million, and then maybe like a 60 to 70 million pounds package overall. So overall the deal becomes like a 70 million or 80 million pounds, which is what Chelsea's valuation of Jackson is. But that is what Chelsea are okay to do, is that they send him on loan as long as it's obligation, right? Because they get him out on permanent and they get the fees that they're looking for. So because of this openness by Chelsea, a lot of clubs have started getting basically interested in Jackson. So the top three right now are Aston Villa, Newcastle, and Bayern Munich. So it's interesting to see how this develops, because there have been conversations clearly with Jackson's camp, and you have to understand Jackson's agent, Xavi's agent is the same. It's Ali Barrett. So he's basically talking to these clubs and basically understanding what can be done. Jackson is open to basically going to any of the three clubs. At least that is my understanding on the situation, just reading on multiple reports, various reports. And basically this is again Romano going on and talking about how Aston Villa are basically probably number one club of all three of them, who are really pushing for Nico Jackson. Unai Emery, of course, is pushing Aston Villa for him, and of course he gave Nico Jackson his debut in Villarreal when they were winning Villarreal together. So it makes sense for Jackson to basically basically reinvigorate his career at Aston Villa with someone he knows and someone who can help him grow his game. And it would make sense maybe for Nico Jackson to go to Aston Villa. Romano has been reporting that there is advanced discussions about the fees, the structures, the payments, and all that. So it's pretty advanced, and it might be happening that Nico Jackson is basically going to Aston Villa. Now, Ben Jacobs, Matt Law, and everyone else, Simon Johnson, a lot of people have said, even Fabrizio Romano, only a few times, not as much as Garnacho and Jackson, but basically everyone credible has reported that this conversation with Nico Jackson is going to basically not be without Morgan Rogers. Chelsea talking about Morgan Rogers at the very least, right? That could he be available And basically, the theory is that Chelsea might just not be delaying the Simmons deal just to get some assets lined up. Get their ducks in a row with Jackson and Google. It could also be the fact that they want to see if there is a possibility that they can get Morgan Rogers, because that is a dream target. So if Morgan Rogers gets available, Chelsea would be interested in signing him, right? So that is basically, and Chelsea, there is a Chelsea connection between him and Chelsea and Morgan Rogers. Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers know each other. Joe Shields basically is a big fan, who's one of the major directors at Chelsea, is a big fan of Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers is, has good connects within Chelsea, like with Joe Shields, like with Cole Palmer, like with, I think, Dawson and some other Man City graduates like Delap and some others. So there are clearly relationships there, and Morgan Rogers looks to be open to move to Chelsea should it happen, should it transpire. But it is the case that do Villa want to really leave Morgan Rogers? Now, my understanding is that the chances of that happening is 1% or less than 1%, because Aston Villa more or less are okay on PSR right now, because of some sales, like we saw one or two players being sold to Newcastle and one or other. So they're okay. They're just about okay, not majorly. They can't go and spend maybe big fees on big players, but they're okay. And because Chelsea are open with the loan with obligation they have for Nico Jackson, they have entered the race, because that is something maybe they can afford, because Chelsea are looking for £10 million in obligation, and maybe next year they pay something like 60-70 million pounds in total package. So the total package becomes somewhere around 70 to 80 million pounds, which is what Chelsea want. But of course, Chelsea would want to negotiate some sort of deals for Morgan Rogers, or having some sort of conversation with Aston Villa of the possibility, maybe not now, maybe getting him in the future. So the swap deal is very unlikely, but it is a possibility. But there's also a possibility Chelsea might get some sort of backroom deal for Morgan Rogers with Villa, because there is a good relationship between Chelsea and Aston Villa hierarchy about doing, making these deals, and it goes a way back, right? So yeah, so I think Jackson is going. I think Nkunku, Neil will find something for Nkunku. I think Nisasi is going to go. I think Carney Chukwuemeka and some others. I think majority of them, I think the only one that are left, I think one was another striker, the forgotten man. Apart from Broya, who he was gone to Burnley. I think only Sterling and after the Bjorn and Chilwell are left. And from my understanding is they'll most likely be going out on loan, these players. Sterling will most likely go to one of Crystal Palace, Fulham, West Ham, or some other London club, because that seems to be wait for him to go. And yeah, basically I think Nkunku might go to Tottenham. Might be a possibility. I know there are rumors with Inter, but I've heard this a brief from one of Tottenham reports that Thomas Frank wants 2 number 10s. And Nkunku is kind of a 10 and a second striker, so he might qualify for that. There's not much they can do in the market. If I'm realistically thinking, who they can get is it already tapped up or going somewhere is probably just Lookman, who was linked to Inter. So maybe Inter get Nkunku or Tottenham get Nkunku or something like that. Um, but apart from that, there is a very so I don't think Bayern deal will happen. I think Leipzig might happen. I think just Chelsea are just waiting for maybe some dominoes to fall or these transfers to take place. And I think once these transfers do take place, and I do believe they will happen, because we can see how these are developing, the Garnacho and the Simmons deal will happen. So yeah, let's wait and watch, and I'll be coming up with my next video in which I will discuss any other stories which go up, along with pre-match thoughts and what could be lineup would be, and what we should do, basically win the upcoming match. So yeah, if you do like the content, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, um, and basically show your support. It's a very young channel, only a few days old, but I'm sure if you do give us an opportunity, you will love the content, you will love what we create, and basically have someone who's giving you, not creating panic, but necessarily giving you views and probable analysis from credible sources who can be trusted. So yeah, I will see you next time. Until then, keep the blue flag flying high. Okay guys, bye.